So in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly the process that you need to take to become a locum pharmacist. So when I qualified, I thought, great, I'm a pharmacist now. I'm going to walk into a shop and start working as a locum pharmacist. Little did I know that there was a whole entire process behind like what you need to do to actually start working as a locum pharmacist. And nobody told me. And even when I looked online, there was no centralized place that actually said, this is what you need to do. I think I would have really appreciated that. And so as I couldn't really find something out there, I was like, fine, I'll make it. As now, I've gone through the whole process. For people out there, I'm going to make it easier. What I want to quickly reiterate is that it's not going to be a simple, easy process. It's going to be time consuming and annoying because you've done that much work to get to this point and then you've still got to do more work to work. But once you've done it and you're ready to go. So I've tried to split this video into 3 main sections. The first section is what you need before you start. The second section is what you'll need once you're ready to start. And the third section is what you need to do once you've booked your first shift. I know it kind of seems complicated. I'm thinking of making a document to make it clearer for people. If you think that will help, then leave a comment and let me know if that's what you want. But for now, I will just try and sequentially tell you what you'll need to work as a locum pharmacist. So before you start, you'll need necessary documentation and training. So by necessary documentation, I mean you obviously need your name to be on the GPHC register before you do anything. And you'll also need a DBS certificate, which proves that you're not a criminal and doing weird illegal behaviours behind the scenes. In terms of training, you can access on the CPPE website. So there's a whole host of training, which is now something that you need to have before you work. And these are MUR, NMS, repeat dispensing, children's oral health, risk management, dementia friend, and smart card training. So I'm not going to go into detail as to what each training means, but you'll find all of these on the CPPE website. All I'm going to say is that some take months and some take 15 minutes. So like children's oral health and risk management took me 1 sitting, but MUR took me months. Like I kept on failing it. You have a lockout period where you can't access the tests until a week or something. If you fail 1 section, it's complicated. And so just be aware of the fact that it's not going to be easy to get these certifications. In terms of the smart card, I already had a smart card because I was working for a hospital. I think that to actually obtain a smart card in the first place from a community pharmacy follows a different process. But if you are in the same position as me, all you need to do is the smart card training, again on the CPPE website, which tells you about like how you can't access certain people's summary care records and the fact that you need to gain consent, etc. There's also additional training that you might need, or it's good if you have. Things like flu vaccinations, emergency hormonal contraceptive pill, and travel vaccines and things. The more you have, the better. So I've been rejected from locum shifts before because I didn't have certain training, for example, flu vaccines. So if you are trained in that, then you might be chosen over other candidates. One thing I recommend with the documentation and training is basically creating a computer folder and a physical folder. And so just print all of the certificates off, or get PDFs of the certificates, download them, and create a computer folder called your locum folder and a physical folder with all of your certificates in. And so whenever you need them, or whenever agencies need them, you have them on your computer and you can upload them straight away instead of like thinking, oh, I don't have these, and then scanning them and just wasting time. Once you make that folder, it's done and you've got all of your certificates in one place. Another thing you'll need is knowledge of dispensing systems. So if you haven't worked in community at all, what I would recommend is that you shadow friends who have worked in community and have shifts. Just, you'll have a lot of pharmacy friends from your degree, etc. Just call them up, I have, and said, I have my first shift, or I'm planning on trying to work for example, Lloyd's Pharmacy. I know you did your pre-reg there. Do you mind if I shadow you for an hour while you're on your shift, and you can quickly teach me the dispensing system? I suppose many places will have dispensers, but sometimes you'll have to be the one dispensing, and if you're not familiar with the dispensing system, then either you'll struggle or you won't even get chosen for the shift in the first place. I'm talking from experience because I came to London and I've been rejected from shifts because I didn't know how to use ProScript. So to overcome that, I called my friend and I said, can I shadow you? They said yes. I shadowed them, and then from there on I could tell people I'm ProScript trained, so choose me. There's a whole host of dispensing systems. Just pick and choose the ones that you think seem to be the most common. Obviously we can't be compatible and use all of them, but just try and figure out which ones are in your area, which ones the pharmacies use in your area, and then try and learn about those. Another thing you might need before you start is a CV. So this is just good to have anyway. I kept on putting off writing a CV. I had a 4-page CV, which previously I thought was good. I used to hand it out like stapled, and people would be like, what the hell? I'm not even going to read this. And it would like end up in the back office somewhere and nobody would be interested. But this year, a lot of the agencies and people from the pharmacy were asking, can you send your CV? And I had to update it anyway. So just do it before you start. Just have a 1-page CV that is up to date, and once you've done it, it's done. So once you've got all of your necessary documentation and training, and you've got knowledge of dispensing systems, and you've created a CV, the next step is to get insurance. So I have insurance from the PDA. I think it's the Pharmacist Defence Association. Is that what they stand for? But anyway, I got insurance that covers both being a hospital pharmacist and a community pharmacist. The worst mistake I made here was that I started to pay it immediately. So before I even had any of the training or any of the certificates and whatever, I started paying for it, and I wouldn't recommend that. Get all of your training first, get all of your like knowledge of dispensing systems, and be armed and ready to go, and then start paying for your insurance. So once you're ready to start, you've got all of your documentation and training, you've got your insurance, you've got your knowledge of dispensing systems and your CV and everything all in one place in all of your folders. Then register with an agency. Once you've registered with an agency, you'll realize how good of an idea it was to have a computer folder called your Locum folder, because when you register with agencies online, you can immediately upload the PDFs and you're ready to go. And once you've done that, work at least 5 pharmacies. And I say 5 pharmacies because once you work at 5 pharmacies, you can get Locum Access added to your smart card, and this is another thing that you need. So at the beginning I talked about how you obtain a smart card. Like I said, it's different whether you work in community or hospital. But once you've got that smart card, a lot of pharmacies want you to have this EPS2 smart card Locum Access role added to your smart card. And for a long time I didn't have it. I only had the hospital access added to my smart card. And again, I was rejected from shifts in London because pharmacies said you need smart card Locum Access. And for a long time I was like, well, I've got hospital access but not Locum smart card access, and how do I obtain that? So wherever you live, there's a registration authority. They can grant you this special Locum permission onto your smart card. And how I had to do it was basically just ask my agency, which is Locate a Locum Agency, to send an email of my name and GPHC number and tell them that I've worked at 5+ pharmacies. By that point, I already had worked at more than 5 pharmacies. And so I called the agency and said, please, can you send my name and GPHC number to my registration authority and tell them that I need smart card Locum Access. And it was that simple. I know it's not been simple in many other cases because some of my friends had to travel to the actual registration authority with like ID and things. So I don't know what it's like for other areas, but for my area, that's all I had to do. And that is why I recommend that you work at more than 5 pharmacies, so that when you do ask for this access, you can just say, I've already worked at 5 pharmacies. I need this access, please add it. So by this point, you've got your documentation and training, you've got knowledge of dispensing systems, you've got your CV, and you've got your insurance, you've registered with an agency, you've worked at more than 5 pharmacies, and you've also got smart card Locum Access. That's 7 things that you've done. That means you're ready to go. And so in this third section, I'm going to talk about what you need to do once you've booked your first shift. Create a document which documents exactly where you did the shift, how long you did the shift for, what the rate is, and when you got paid. And so I created this document on Word. I know that a lot of other people would do it on Excel, but Excel's just not my thing. So all I did was write exactly the address and how much I said I was getting paid, how many hours I did, so like basically how much I'm expecting to hit my bank. And once it did hit my bank, I wrote the date of when it hit my bank. And you have to keep this record basically for yourself, just so you get paid, but also for taxes at the end of the year. I haven't done the self-assessment tax form yet, but I think I do it next January. So once I do that, I'll make a video about it if it's something that's complicated. But yeah, keep a record. And this is also for your benefit, because if you don't keep track, then you can't keep track of what should hit your bank account. Like, it took me sometimes a few months to get paid for certain pharmacies and a couple of weeks for others. So the good thing about Venlock, which is what Superdrug, Asda and Lloyds use, is that it's just a set date. So once you've done the shift, about 2 weeks later, it's in your bank. But for certain agencies or certain pharmacies, like I did some shifts through Well Pharmacy on Locator Locum, setting up my bank number on their system took a long time, so I wasn't paid for months. And if I hadn't made that document, I wouldn't know that I had to chase it up. I'd forget, I'd get confused. So make sure you keep the correct documentation of all of your shifts. It's your responsibility to chase pharmacies up and ask them to pay you. Usually I leave it 2 to 3 weeks before I call and say, hey, I worked blah, 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 this date, I still haven't been paid yet. Remember also to just be confident when you say that, because you shouldn't feel bad to ask for money. You shouldn't feel bad asking to get paid. Like, you've done the work, and so that money should enter your bank account. So that was my video on how to become a locum pharmacist. So if you think it would be helpful for me to make a document, a kind of like a tick list document, then write it in the comments below or just give me feedback. And obviously what I've said could be different for certain areas, so it's not going to be for everyone, but those are the steps that I myself took to work as a locum pharmacist. If there's anything that I've missed out, also just let me know in the comments. And I hope that this video is helpful and is a centralized place. So I'll see you in the next video, and good luck on working as a locum pharmacist.